Look at this. Watch this.
Do you believe you've killed?
We don't have exact figures, as you know, it's the fog of war.
But you've got exact numbers for Hamas terrorists.
Maybe we should watch it from the beginning. Yes, here it is. Let's watch the whole thing, because I think that the context is actually probably semi-useful, enjoyable, whatever. Yeah, so like, oh, Abby Martin shows up here. Okay, yeah. This is totally worth watching.
No, you're not foggy when it comes to killing terrorists. You're only foggy, it seems to me, when it comes to killing civilians.
Israel needs to be stopped before they continue this horrific onslaught, Piers.
This is war. In war, people die. Abby does not have the authority. She's just a self-appointed, low-grade journalist.
You're a spy for...
When did we start getting trailers for videos for modern, like, mainstream news? When did we start doing that? Okay. Okay. Overgod, thank you so much for the 39 ones.
Israeli intelligence.
Do you agree with the principle that Palestinians should be entitled to exactly the same human rights as Israelis?
Israel is fighting for its very existence.
It's pretty dramatic. 24
I like how you can see in the clip he's about to say something else and they just cut it. It's like, oh, well, I guess you're going to want to watch the video, huh?
In Israel's war on Hamas. First, Israel said it was finally preparing to enter Rafah, the southern Gazan city, which has become a refuge to 1.5 million Palestinians. Allies have warned against it, fearing catastrophic civilian impact. But Israel says that Rafah is also the refuge for the remaining Hamas battalions. Last night, Hamas announced it had accepted the terms of a ceasefire proposed by intermediaries, but Israel rejected it. And overnight, it seized Rafah's crossing with Egypt.
Dude, why does he talk like he's got balls in his mouth? Speak clearly. This is your job. You're literally on television. Stop.
Proposed by intermediaries, but Israel rejected it. And overnight, it seized Rafah.
And that's just because he's British? No. I know British people. And they don't speak like this. They speak clearly, okay? He's just...
crossing with Egypt, a key entry point for vital humanitarian aid, and began attacking the east of the city. In a moment, I'll talk to Avi Martin and Mossad Hassan Youssef. But first, from Jerusalem, is Israeli government spokesman Avi Hyman.
So who is this guy? What's this guy's name? Mossad Hassan. Wait a minute. Youssef Hassan.
And Mossad Hassan Youssef. But first, from Jerusalem, is Israeli government spokesman Avi Hyman. Mr. Hyman, thank you very much indeed for joining me. Why did Israel reject this apparent offer of a peace deal from Hamas that they'd agreed to?
Hi, Piers. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm not sure what Israel has rejected. I know that Hamas put out a statement that they had accepted some kind of a proposal. It's somewhat unclear to us.
He's a co-founder of Hamas. He's the son of the co-founder, one of the co-founders of Hamas. His dad was the leader in the Second Intifada. A Palestinian ex-militant who defected to Israel in 1997, thereafter working as an undercover agent. Until moving to the U.S. in 2007, his father is Sheikh Hassan Youssef, co-founder of Hamas. This guy's vibes are off. This guy... Something about him is not. It's triggering my fight or flight.
What proposal they accepted. This was obviously, as my Prime Minister said in the last hour, a way of trying to torpedo our entry into Rafah. And as you said, the last 4 battalions of Hamas are in Rafah. Our war aims remain the same: to destroy Hamas, bring home the hostages, and ensure that Gaza doesn't pose a threat to us. As the Prime Minister said, with or without a deal, we're going to need to go into Rafah. So we entered Rafah. We're keeping the pressure up, the military pressure on Hamas. That's what worked last time when we got about half of the hostages released. And that's what we're doing now. We will keep up the pressure and explore all of the diplomatic channels. But at the moment, Hamas's position is far, far away from ours, sadly.
How many civilians...
He hates Muslim, like he openly says that he hates Muslims. Oh, so he's like a Candace Owens. He's like a Candace Owens type of person? Exactly. Okay. Chat, I would make so much money defecting. I would make so much bank defecting and just being like a pick-me and being like, the left and its indoctrination. I hate Muslims. He's famous for saying that he would choose a cow's life over billions of Muslims. I'm not joking. Totally normal. Totally normal. Totally fucking normal stuff here.
Millions in Rafah, of the 1.5 million people there, is Israel prepared to view as collateral damage to eliminate the remaining Hamas terrorists?
Piers, as you know, the IDF does our absolute utmost to avoid civilian casualties. Just in the first...
Me when I lie. Me when I lie. We do the utmost to prevent casualties, civilian casualties.
First day of the operation, we've taken 100,000 citizens, civilians from Rafah, out of Rafah.
Well, that leaves 1.4 million.
Okay, and it's a work in progress. So I can tell you that...
my question is that you're trying to eliminate Hamas completely, but in the process, already you've pretty much destroyed most of northern Gaza. You've already killed up to 40,000 people, depending on whether you accept the Hamas-run health authority numbers. Obviously, a number of those people are Hamas, and a large number are innocent civilians, women and children. And if you go into somewhere like Rafah, which has 1.5 million people who've been told to go there by Israel, who've been displaced from their homes, which have been destroyed in the main, and gone to this refugee camp, how many could die before Israel says we can't continue this operation?
Piers, we're fighting against Hamas, a genocidal terror organization. I've seen your coverage, your tremendous coverage of what Hamas did to us on October 7th. You and I know they want to do it again and again and again. That's their words, not mine. Now, we'll do what we have to do to go after Hamas, to avoid civilian casualties, something that we have successfully done. Out of that Hamas number that you just gave, more than 14,000 are terrorists that we took out.
They really never fail to really hit the K on the Hamas. The Hamas. Do you think they're contractually obligated to?
More than 25,000 Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorists.
How many civilians do you believe you've killed?
We don't have exact figures, as you know. It's the fog of war.
But you've got exact numbers.
Fog of war. Suck my dick.
The Hamas terrorists you've killed. Why wouldn't you know how many civilians you've killed?
Because obviously our focus is to go after the Hamas terrorists. And
hang on, I mean, that does imply that you're putting a bigger premium on killing Hamas terrorists in terms of numbers and accountability than you are on innocent civilians. That can't be right, surely. If you know exactly how many Hamas terrorists you've killed, you must know how many civilians you've killed. Otherwise, you're prioritizing the lives of terrorists over innocent people.
Piers, with respect, don't put words...
They would never do that, ever, okay? Ever. It's never been done ever in ever.
Into my mouth, please. I didn't say exactly 14,000. I said around 14,000. Whereas Hamas will come out with precise numbers that statisticians will look at.
Give me a ballpark number for civilians.
Well, you can use the ballpark as far as the Hamas figures, which I reject as being false.
Well, if they're false, why would you give me those?
I gave you the numbers that I had.
No, you told me.
Well, if you really want numbers, you can use the Hamas number. Sorry, apologies. Hamas numbers if you want. All right, I reject them though. Well, then why the fuck would I use those if you reject them? That doesn't make any sense.
No, you know how many Hamas terrorists you've killed, but you don't seem to have any idea.
I know Piers actually doing his job. Piers actually doing any journalism at all? Whoa.
Yeah, how many civilians you killed? I'm just bemused. Why wouldn't you keep count of both?
I don't have that information to give you, Piers. If I did, I would.
You literally no idea how many civilians you've been killing.
I can tell you definitively that our aim is to go after Hamas. We've done it successfully.
I'm sorry to push you on this. That's quite extraordinary. You're an official spokesman for the Israeli government, and you have no idea how many civilians you've killed. I thought you just told me that you were particularly careful about not killing civilians. But if you don't know how many you've killed, how can you say that with any certainty?
Because even if you were to go by a ratio of the Hamas figures, we would still be far ahead of any
That wasn't my
Western
question.
army.
You know it wasn't my question.
I don't.
It's also factually not true. The U.S., for all of its crimes, and the U.S. definitely as an empire should fall, and all that, whatever, blah blah blah. But even the U.S. has better civilian casualty numbers. Like, I think Israel's current onslaught of Gazans is like it's like one combatant to like every 100 Palestinians civilians. The U.S. is like closer to like 1 to 10. I'm not defending that. I'm saying to say that we're doing a good job is objectively not true, objectively incorrect.
don't have the information.
You literally have no idea how many civilians you've killed.
It's not that I don't know. I'm not authorized to give the information. I don't have the information.
Oh, I'm not authorized to. Really? Really? You're not authorized to?
That's complete nonsense. Why are you authorized to give me the number of terrorists you've killed, but not the number of civilians? I don't understand. Can you explain?
Piers, we will go after Hamas. We will ensure that we...
The fucking staring in silence. Like, maybe if I just don't respond, he'll move on.
You want me to believe you're being incredibly careful about how many civilians you're killing, and you have an amazing exemplary record, but you don't know how many civilians you're killing. So how do I know you've been careful?
Piers, when the dust settles, we will come out with the proper numbers. Hamas runs to the press daily with false...
When the dust settles, a lot of people will have died, and you know how many Hamas you've killed, but you don't know how many civilians you've killed. And I'm just asking you why. Why is it you've kept a record of one, but not the other?
I personally don't have that information to give to you. You can ask me over and over. I'm not going to come up with more information. I don't personally
You don't know?
I don't have that information for you.
But you're an official government spokesman for the Israeli government, and you have no idea. Piers,
I came on here to focus on what's going on with the war.
Well, actually, you came on here to answer my questions, I think.
Yeah, and I don't have an answer for you for that.
And I didn't intend to press you on this point because I assumed that you would not respond the way you have. But I've never had an Israeli spokesman who simply said, I have no idea. Particularly after you boasted about the fact that you've been very smart in the way you've avoided killing civilians. How do you know if you've got no idea how many you've killed?
Because I know the way in which the IDF operates. I know the way in which we go after the terrorists in the best possible way. It's not what I've said. It's what General Petraeus has said. It's what John Spencer from West Point has said. It's what multiple British generals have said. Israel goes out of its way to avoid civilian casualties. That's what we'll do. If you can point to me to another conflict by which they have evacuated.
Well, I don't know if you saw, but we've said many times that we try not to have excess casualties. So can you stop and get off my ass? Like, we just said like 10 times we do our best to avoid excess casualties. Isn't that good enough? That's all we have to do, right?
It's not that I don't know. It's that I'm not authorized to tell you. So anyway, let me tell you that I don't know over and over.
Got out of harm's way civilians to the extent that Israel has done, then fine.
With respect, Mr. Hyman, how can you possibly expect me to accept any comparisons to any other conflict or war, given that you do not know how many civilians you've killed?
Piers, you understand that I can't
I also absolutely love the whole, like, what other country
6 months Podgy's DNM balls
warns people 10 seconds before they're about to die? That's right. We do. Yeah. Yeah. All right. We tell people that they're about to die right before they die. So we're the world's most moral army. It's like, dude, you just told everybody to make their way to Rafah to be safe from the bombings, and now you're bombing Rafah. It's literally a bit in the opening of Star Trek Troopers. Absolutely, thank you for the 6 months. Thank you. It's just, it's pathetic.
The war over the media.
I'm just asking you for basic information. I'm just honestly, I'm not trying to trap you, and I'm not trying to unfairly harangue you. I think people are watching this and they'll make their own conclusions. I just find it astonishing that the moment I asked you how many Hamas you killed, you could tell me immediately. And the moment I ask you about civilians, you haven't got a clue, literally. That you're not even prepared to issue a ballpark number. And I think people will find that staggering, particularly given that you are insistent that you're doing everything you can to avoid killing civilians. To which, again, I just simply ask, how do you know? If you don't know how many you're killing, how can you possibly be sure?
Guys, he's cooking so hard.
That you are, A, doing better than other people waging war elsewhere, or B, that you have any idea how many you're killing? You don't, clearly.
The IDF monitors every single action that it takes. It weighs out the options.
It doesn't tell you, the official spokesman.
It avoids civilian casualties in the best possible way.
How do you know, Mr. Hyman?
Even if you were to take, please, if you're allowed...
Sorry, with respect, you come on here as the official Israeli government spokesman, and you don't want to be asked how many you've killed because you don't know, and yet you want us to draw comparisons to other conflicts in a positive way for Israel. And you want
normally, I'm not one to let British people cook. We've seen what they make. We have. We agree. Don't let them cook. But this guy, he's maybe this one time I will allow it, okay? Maybe this one time I will allow a bit of cooking.
Tell me that IDF make a record of every single thing they're involved in, but they don't give it to you, the government spokesman, so that when I ask you, you have no idea. Do you understand how ridiculous that sounds? With respect.
With all due respect, I've told you that even if you were to use the Hamas figures, the ratio would still be better than any other army, and that's where the comparison can be done. However, we know, because above and beyond that, is the Hamas figures are not accurate. And we know from
that does imply that you're putting a bigger premium on killing Hamas.
Why did the Twitter tab just randomly start playing? I didn't even touch this tab. Why did it just start playing? It was like, I really, really want to, I really need to right now. I need to do this right now. Calm down. We're already watching the clip.
Conflicts that Hamas throws in anyone that's, someone could have passed away from a heart attack. Someone could have.
So why is it that Israel actually, after previous,
that's what they've done in the past.
Well, why is it after previous death tolls have been released by Hamas through the Palestinian Health Authority, they've actually turned out to be ones that Israel has concurred with in the main? Can you not count either?
Piers, we're in the fog of war. We're fighting for our very existence.
No, you're not foggy when it comes to killing terrorists. You're only foggy, it seems to me, when it comes to killing civilians.
We're fighting against a terrorist organization that spent the last 16 years embedding itself underneath and within a civilian population. They're fighting from mosques, from hospitals, from UN facilities. I don't know if there's a comparison of any war in modern history in which a terrorist organization has embedded itself the way that Hamas has in Gaza. We are doing our very utmost to go after Hamas. And like I said, when the dust settles, you will see that.
Okay. Avi Hyman, the Israeli government spokesman, thank you very much. Well,
the way he kicks him off is crazy, too. It's like so fucked up. It's like, all right, everybody, this fucking dipshit. Moving on. Like, damn, ice cold, man. Fuck. Shit.
Joined now by the pro-Palestine journalist and commentator, Avi Martin, and by Mossab Hassan Youssef, the son of Hamas's founder and former leader, author of a new book from Hamas.
Oh, wait, since we're moving on to the next segment, it says it's still not this one, but can you believe he actually did his job for once? Can you believe? Because when I saw that shit, I was like, no, Piers Morgan actually like questioning all of his guests and not just the left-wingers? No. Copium Hassan had an impact on him. Copium. That is the biggest copium I've ever copiumed in my life. I've never seen more copium in my life, man. That's incredible. Anyways.
to America. Welcome back to both of you. Avi Martin, I found that, I've got to say, a quite extraordinary interview. To be an official government spokesman and admit you have no idea how many civilians you've killed whilst trying to simultaneously compare yourself favourably to other civilian death ratios in war seemed to me staggering.
Indeed. I mean, especially since we have seen the comparison as the dust has been settling real time on our phones, we see Israel has committed, in fact, some of the most heinous war crimes in modern history, Piers. And as we're seeing the invasion now of Rafah, cutting off the last vestige of escape for Palestinians, the last vestige of aid delivery, 1.3 million Palestinians, including 600,000 children, with nowhere left to go. This is what Palestinians were told was a safe corridor. That is why they all fled to Rafah. Rafah has been bombarded for the last several weeks, killing dozens of people every day. So I think at this point, 6 months into a genocide, to be deliberating whether or not Israel should continue with this onslaught, this military operation that will result in mass slaughter to continue their ethnic cleansing of Gaza is frankly absurd, patently so, considering what we've seen them do just in the last several weeks, Piers. Evidence of summary executions of doctors, evidence of mass graves, hundreds of bodies bound, dozens of men, women, and children bound, evidence, according to the UN, of Palestinians buried alive, using drones to lure out Palestinians with sounds of crying children so they could be shot and killed. I mean, this is unparalleled in modern history, actually. And the devastation that's occurred in the Gaza Strip, according to the UN, will take 80 years to rebuild without conditions. So at this point, Israel needs to be stopped before they continue this horrific onslaught, Piers.
Mossab, I'll get you to respond to what Avi just said, but just your response to that interview with an Israeli government spokesman, because I've got to say, I found that pretty stunning that he would be so certain how many Hamas terrorists the IDF have killed, but admit he had no idea how many civilians have been killed, given that it's the deaths of the civilians that is getting Israel so much unpopular reaction around the world.
Because we cannot send Israelis to Rafah and to dangerous zones to collect statistics and count the numbers. It's a very dangerous zone. Israel is looking from the outside. And also, who said that Israel is only responsible for the killing of Gazans? Mostly Hamas responsible. First of all, for taking human shields. Second, their booby traps. How could you differentiate the death that it was caused by an airstrike or by a Hamas death trap?
Oh, I hate this guy.
How do we know the difference?
Oh, I hate him. Oh my God, I hate him.
Well, yeah, but the point I would make,
people
though,
die.
Yeah, but
listen to me. All this moral, Piers, no, listen to me. All this dilemma, you're going with your whatever morality. This is war. In war, people die. You need to wake up to this reality, accept it. Stop this denial.
So Israel can't send people to go count and do their own numbers and run their own numbers because it's too dangerous in Rafah. But this is war. So basically what you're saying is, yeah, it's fine if those people die. Hey, if you think Palestinians should just die, then I feel like it's weird that you're okay with yourself existing. If you're going to say Islam is bad and Muslims are evil, it's weird for you to then make those sweeping statements but allow yourself to exist because you're one of the good ones. Interesting.
We are in the face of savages who hijacked an entire society. This is a very difficult war. No other army can do the job, and I'm not willing to risk thousands of lives of foot soldiers to deal with this type of savages who hijacked the entire society. 100,000 people could have died. Israel is doing everything they could. Don't reduce it to the point, do you have statistics? Who cares?
Well, actually,
Egypt,
no, I think
the
you're missing my
Palestinian
point.
Authority,
Yeah, Mossad.
Jordan.
All right.
The Arab world don't want Hamas at whatever cost.
Mossad.
Whatever it costs, we want to remove Hamas from power.
Okay, I understand that. That's a different question. My point is why...
Do you?
Well, why does... My question is this for you. Why is it that, if, as you say, Israel has no way of working out who's being killed here, and I know all about war. My brother served in wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. My brother-in-law served in wars. My grandfather served in wars. My uncle served in wars. I don't need a lecture about what warfare is, but I do find it surprising that Israel's official spokesman, months and months into this war, is able to tell me immediately how many Hamas terrorists have been killed by Israeli forces, but admits he hasn't got a clue how many civilians have been killed. And I'm sorry, I think most viewers will find that stunning. You say Israel has no way of checking, but they seem to have a way of checking how many Hamas they're killing, Mossad.
Listen, it's Israel's responsibility to know the death of their own citizens. This is their responsibility. I think your question was absurd. This is why you put him on the spot. He was not prepared for it. But this is not going to change the reality on the ground. The reality on the ground, Hamas must go. The only side want Hamas to stay is the Iranian Ayatollah. And for some stupid reason, Karen in America wants Hamas to stay. But the Arab world, let me tell you something, Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the majority of the Arab world, we are Arabs. I am Arab. We are not Palestinians. We don't want Hamas.
Abby's trying her best. She's like, don't laugh. Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
We don't want Islam. We want Islamists out of power.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
All right.
They have been killing Jewish and Arab children.
Right.
This is not your game. This is not her game. It's not about statistics.
It's not a game.
It's about doing the correct thing of removing Hamas from power.
Mossad,
end of the story.
Let me interrupt, because you quoted Saudi Arabia in your rant there. So let me read you a statement from the Saudi Foreign Ministry. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs expresses the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's warning of the dangers of the Israeli occupation forces.
So, from my understanding, this guy is actually unironically being hired as a spy by was hired as a spy by the IDF, and he's a defector and all that other stuff. Do you think that they have him come on and get really angry on purpose? Because they're like, yeah, just get on air and look like a crazy brown person. Yeah, don't worry if you don't make any sense. Just scream about how, the Muslims are bad. And then you're doing us a favor because you're making, do you think that's what it is?
Targeting the city of Rafah as part of his systematic bloody campaign to storm all areas of Gaza Strip and displace his residents towards the unknown in light of a lack of safe zones after the massive destruction caused by the Israeli war machine. The ministry affirms the kingdom's categorical rejection of the occupation forces' continued blatant violations of international resolutions, calling for the cessation of these massacres and their violation of international law and international humanitarian law without deterrence, which exacerbates the humanitarian crisis and limits international peace efforts. The ministry renewed the kingdom's demand for the international community to intervene immediately to stop the genocide carried out by occupation forces against defenseless civilians in the occupied Palestinian territories. So when you say all Arabs agree with you, Mossad, actually they don't. That is the Saudi Foreign Ministry saying they want it to stop right now.
As we speak, the intelligence services of the Arab world, all of them in a joint operation room with Israel to rid of Hamas. I don't care about some politician trying to make a political statement. It's false. The reality on the ground, we don't want Hamas. We don't want Islamists. We don't want this anarchy, this revolution without a moral compass. We don't want to globalize it. We don't want to bring it to the United States. The game is over. Hamas is out, and their death warranty has been issued. It's a finished job.
All right,
and we are going into Rafah, and we are going to eliminate every last one of them.
Let me bring in Abby. Abby, you've been listening to...
Dude, men will become genocidal freaks instead of going to therapy for their daddy issues. It's crazy. Just go to therapy, man. Okay. Lots of people did not have great father figures. We move on in life. We don't make it our whole personality. All right?
To this, I mean, fundamentally, I understand why Israel and Israelis want to eliminate Hamas completely, because this is a terror group who are wedded to the eradication of Israel and everybody in it. In fact, they have reiterated publicly through their official spokesman a desire to commit as many October the 7th as they can. So I completely understand why Israel wants to get rid of these terrorists. The question is, how do they do that without killing many, many more civilians? And as we saw from the Saudi statement, there are many Arab countries now in the region increasingly concerned that if there is a full attack on Rafah, which has 1.5 million people, a lot of civilians are going to die.
Right, and you know, to your point before, I think the death toll is actually vastly undercounted, considering how we have not even began to excavate the bodies under the rubble. So I would say that the death toll is a vast undercount. As far as Mossad's point about Hamas, I think that, you know, Mossab is the Palestinian who hates Palestinians. He's developed a lucrative career being able to lie about basic facts about this conflict. And so when he says Palestinians or Hamas, what he really means is all Arabs and all Muslims. In fact, I've seen that plain as day in his social media and talks. He thinks that all Muslims are terrorists. And so, I mean, this is credited to the point that he is actually credited to jailing what is called the Mandela, the Palestinian Mandela. Marwan Barghouti. This is a guy who he put in prison 20 years ago, who was marching side by side with Israeli peace activists denouncing Hamas killing civilians. So again, I mean, when we're looking at someone who's worked for Israeli intelligence, who spouts the same rhetoric as Israelis, who say Hamas, but what they really mean is all Palestinians, I mean, it's really hard to debate someone on the fundamental reality and the principles of, you know, the facts of this conflict. Now, to your...
Also, you guys know I'm a big Sean fan here. And I have to say, Sean's video on the conflict is it's just perfect. Skull emoji, not skull emoji, skull Sean. What's his? He just goes by Sean, I guess now. I thought he had more in his title, but I guess he removed it. He just goes by Sean now. His Palestine video, so good. The TLDR, if you don't want to watch an hour and a half of a video, you cannot come up with an excuse that explains why that many people are allowed to die, why that many children are allowed to die. There is no justification for allowing, 15,000 children to die. There's no justification. You can try your best and come up with it as hard as you can. You cannot come up with a justification on why 16,000 children just had to die. They just had to. It doesn't exist. Did you ever consider Islamophobia? Oh shit. No, I didn't. No. That's a good point. Fuck. I forgot that they're brown. Oh my God. Okay, sorry. Yes, you're right.
Your point, Piers, about what...
That still makes me agree with you that this is all an act to make Palestinians look crazy. Every once in a while, he'll break character while he's thinking. Yeah.
What should they do about Hamas? I reject the premise of Israel's genocide. I'm not going to sit here and say, yes, Hamas is a terrorist organization and they need to be eradicated. Of course, that's not true. And I think that we can both agree.
What do you mean that's not
it's
true?
An impossible task. It's not true that something needs to be done about Hamas. I don't agree with that framework and the parameters of that debate.
Why?
Because Israel's been committing ethnic cleansing and genocidal policies against the Palestinians for 70
But Hamas literally
years.
has
and
a
as
charter.
I reiterated
But Abby,
before,
hang on. Hamas literally has a stated charter of the elimination of Israel. That is the purest personification of a publicly stated policy of genocide
that's not
I can
true,
imagine.
That's not true. Their revised charter says that they actually recognize the existence of the Israeli state among 1967 borders. That's the revised charter, and they actually make a political differentiation between Zionism and Judaism.
So
That's
when
the
their
actual
official
charter from
spokesman,
us.
so
So you
when
keep
Hamas
pointing
is,
to us. You keep
so hang
pointing
on.
to a random spokesperson. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's not random. He's the official spokesman for Hamas, and he said literally 2 weeks after October the 7th, we are going to do this again and again and again. That is an existential genocidal threat to the existence of everyone in Israel. Clearly,
By that same logic, doesn't that mean that all the spokespeople and like commanders and defense ministers in Israel saying we're going to raise Gaza, does that not mean that that is genocidal intent? If you're taking Hamas to be whatever the people in charge of Hamas say, then sounds like you guys are doing a genocide. Sounds like Israel is doing a little bit of a genocide. If anyone wants to hate this guy more, here's a short clip of him saying he wouldn't choose 1.6 billion Muslims and a cow over a cow. Oh, hi, Mayor Cat. Mayor Cat. Meow. Meow.
If I
Oh.
my father to death, then if I condemned my father to death, then you should be worried. Because if it comes down to 15 million Jewish innocent people and 300 million Arab clowns, I will choose the 15 million innocent people who did not start this war. If I have to choose between 1.6 billion Muslims and a cow, I will choose the cow. If I condemned my father...
Okay, so you're just like a piece of shit? Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, cool. Shit, man. You just had to say that, bro. Sir, this is a Wendy's. He's Arab Uncle Ruckus. I'm glad we're finally getting some representation. Okay? I'm just glad. I'm fucking glad. Does he have an inside voice? Okay, well, that's just being Arab, okay? The yelling thing, that's just being Arab. Leave him alone on that one, okay? That one just... You ever hang out with Arab people? Oh my God, my fucking family members, they'll be sitting on the same couch together. On the same couch. The same couch, okay? We're talking max 1 or 2 feet. And they're like, hey, can you go to the kitchen? It's like, why are you screaming? I'm right here. You don't have to scream. I'm right here. I'm literally right here. Why are we screaming? Why? I'm Indian. We're the same as black country folk. Yeah, same thing in like Hispanic households. Just, oh my God. I remember the first time I visited a household that wasn't like that. I was like, I made a friend. I know, me making friends in middle school, and I went to her house, and she's Korean. Her parents are Korean immigrants, and they are so polite. No one was yelling. I was like, wow, you guys live like this? That's amazing. Wow, they just like walk up to you and then talk in a normal voice. That's crazy. Oh my God. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. Oh, Kimberly, if you're still out there, that was a life-changing experience for me. Bro, Asian parents you yell, you will get smacked. Bro, I wish. If I'm gonna wish. Do you guys oh wait, actually wait, really quickly. The struggle of always having to use push to talk when you live with your family because everyone in your family is so fucking loud and no one understands the concept of like knocking or just speaking normal volumes or whatever. You're in the middle of a sentence and then someone starts screaming and you have to unpush to talk. You're like, well, I guess I'm finishing that sentence once whoever is done shouting is done shouting. The Hispanic household in the background, yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. The best is like phone calls. I don't know what it is about the phone that is so mystical. I'm only describing Arab households and like Arab immigrants and stuff. So my experiences may not be universal, but like something about being on the phone makes people scream even louder. It's like, no, screaming isn't going to help you. The connection is going out. Screaming isn't going to fix the connection going out, mom. You don't have to. They can't hear you, not because you're talking too quietly. You're probably on the lowest volume. The Skype call is just going out. Hello? It's like, oh my God. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. My black friends on Discord yelling one time to their mom, kindly responding and hearing their mom say, "What the fuck did you just yell at me? I'm gonna whoop your ass." I had an Iranian boss that was always at 100% volume. I know it's just not necessary, guys. It's just not necessary. Okay, especially when they put their shit on speaker. It's on speaker, and both people are just screaming over the phone. It's like, maybe this is why I need subtitles, though, actually. Because I'm just not, I didn't grow up with anybody in my house ever speaking normal volume or, God forbid, whispering. So, like, maybe that's why I'm broken and I need subtitles. Maybe that's why. I don't know. I see this every day working in retail. Oh, God. Oh, God. All right. Sorry, back to the video.
Publicly on camera. He was brazen about it.
Look, I think that when you're comparing one guy and his statement to literally
the official
dozens of
spokesman, Abby.
genocidal statements. Okay, but look at the official spokespeople of Israel, Piers, and look at the actual genocide they're committing. You cannot compare the two. It's a complete false equivalency. One guy is saying one thing, the other dozens of Israeli ministers and cabinet officials and public media personas on TV are saying one thing and actually doing it on the ground.
You would allow Hamas to stay in power?
On the ground. It's not up to me, Piers. Hamas is representative of a large.
You've been expressing many opinions.
But here's the thing.
What's your opinion?
Marwan Barghouti is the most popular unifying figure in Palestinian society. He would resoundingly win in an election against Hamas. So what this is about, this isn't about Hamas. This is about eliminating every faction of Palestinian resistance, peaceful or not.
Don't forget, by the way, the only reason Hamas got into power in the first place was because it was funded by the state of Israel. Okay? Just as a quick reminder, all right? They wanted Muslim extremists in power so that it would be easier to fight against them, so that their war could be justified, because it's like, look at these Muslim extremists. Look at, they're saying they hate Jews. Oh my God, can you believe this? We have to kill all of them now. Like, don't forget that. Don't forget. Always remember that whenever anyone talks about that shit, whenever anyone talks about Hamas being in power and that it was elected, remember, why don't you remember that fucking Trump got elected? Someone who objectively did not make the lives of average everyday Americans better, who was propagandized like crazy to...
You have to consider capability. If your 4-year-old little brother kicks you in the nuts and shouts, "I'm gonna kill you," are you allowed to kill him in self-defense?
I'm not a fan about that voice yet. I never thought about it like that, but you might be on something. I wore headphones for hypersensitive hearing as a child. I always had to leave subtitles to help. Interesting. It scared me. I didn't recognize that TTS voice. I was like, huh? Huh? I forgot what I was saying in the middle of that. If anyone is curious about them funding Hamas, what are they defining as independent journalism? Support independent journalism with a subscription. What do you mean by independent journalism? What do you mean by that? What does that mean? Brokey? What? Poor shaming in chat. Unbelievable. Call yourselves leftists, you do. And yet, this is the problem. The petite bourgeois in my chat. Okay, wait. What the fuck am I trying to do? Oh, yeah, that didn't work. Wait, did it? Oh, it did work. Nice. Oh, wait, it only half worked. Well, let's see. Buying quiet inside the Israeli plan that propped up Hamas. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gambled that a strong Hamas, but not too strong, would keep the peace and reduce pressure for a Palestinian state. This is from 2023, December 10th, just weeks before Hamas launched the deadly attack on October 7th. The head of Mossad arrived in Doha, Qatar, for a meeting with Qatari officials. For years, the Qatari government had been sending millions of dollars a month into the Gaza Strip, money that helped prop up the Hamas government there. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel not only tolerated those payments, he had encouraged them. During his meeting in September with the Qatari officials, according to several people familiar with the secret discussions, the Mossad chief, David Barnea, was asked a question that had not been on the agenda. Did Israel want the payments to continue? Mr. Netanyahu's government had recently decided to still continue the policy, so Mr. Barnea said yes. The Israeli government still welcomed the money from Doha. Allowing the payments, billions of dollars over roughly a decade, was a gamble by Mr. Netanyahu that had a steady flow of money that would maintain peace in Gaza, the eventual launching point of the October 7th attacks, and keep Hamas focused on governing, not fighting. The Qatari payments, while ostensibly a secret, have been widely known and discussed in the Israeli news media for years. Mr. Netanyahu's critics disparaged them as a part of a strategy of buying quiet, and the policy is in the middle of a ruthless reassessment following the attacks against Mr. Netanyahu. This lashed back at the criticism, calling the suggestion that he tried to empower Hamas ridiculous. This isn't even what I'm talking about. Also, this is like, in case you wanted the full one, for some reason it's not loading, Filth. I don't know why. It's just like perma-loading the archive site. Just doesn't want to load. Ad blocker, maybe? I don't know. Oh, alopecia. Thanks, alopecia. I'm actually like, you can't tell, but I desperately need to go do my hair. You have tattoos? No. I'm indecisive. I'm too indecisive for that. Do I not have a New York Times subscription? Did I not already give these people my money? I have to see now. Maybe not. Maybe I did not. Okay, we're doing it, guys. I'm giving them my money. I'm tired of living like this. Okay? I want to read articles. I'm supporting independent journalism. Aren't there paywall sites? Yes. I've tried. I give up. Okay? This sentence doesn't make any sense, sir. Your stupid religion is haram. That doesn't make any sense. A religion can't be that. What? That doesn't even. Your religion is sinful? What are you talking about? All right. Wait, it actually worked. No, I'm not living like this anymore. I'm becoming. I'm doing it. I'm doing it, guys. Wait. Wait. Hold. Thank you for your subscription. You're not fucking welcome, okay? I'm just tired of living like this. All right, guys, I admit it. I just can't do it anymore. Alrighty. I pulled the plug and subscribed to 2 news websites with yearly subscriptions. Yeah. 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 Jumble Jubilee, thank you for the 6 months. Champagne Socialist streamer can afford a new subscription. Ugh, fucking hate. I just don't like the idea of subscriptions. That's my problem. I just don't like that companies are allowed to just do subscriptions for everything now. That's my bigger problem. Things that I feel like historically haven't been subscriptions. I guess like news organizations have been, but I don't feel like they used to be so expensive. But maybe they're not. I don't know. I'm honestly just like mad and salty that like things like Microsoft Windows are now subscription-based things. And things like Adobe are subscription-based. I know it's been subscription-based for a long time, but it shouldn't be. You should be able to buy Adobe products, put them at a premium, make them $200. I would just rather pay the amount that I use instead of like, I'd rather just pay for one newspaper, right? Instead of paying for a subscription. It's like the people who have the game passes, the base subscription models like that. It's like anyway, sorry. I'm just mad. Mad because bad. Okay, back to this article. That's it. Payments were okay. Wait, where were we? Here we go. Hamas has always publicly stated its commitment to eliminating the state of Israel, but each payout was a testament to the Israelis' government's point of view that Hamas was a low-level nuisance and even a political asset. As far back as December 2012, Mr. Netanyahu told the prominent Israeli journalist Dan Margolin that it was important to keep Hamas strong as a counterweight to the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank. In the interview, he said that Mr. Netanyahu told him that having two strong rivals, including Hamas, would lessen the pressure on him to negotiate towards a Palestinian state. The official in the prime minister's office said that Mr. Netanyahu never made this statement, but the prime minister would articulate this idea to others over the years. Wait a minute. What? No. What? No. Having Hamas around makes it really easy to say we're just defending ourselves, bombs the shit out of your country. No. It's fucking stupid. It's just, please send this article, guys, to anyone who tries to tell you that that's not the case. Please send this article to anyone who's like, well, Hamas, did you consider they're just defending themselves from Hamas? Did you? Oh. Is this the... Okay, sorry. I was looking at a video. Anyways. Yeah. Hamas came to power because the Palestinian population was really frustrated with PLO serving as part of the Israeli government. The PLO considered corrupt, and Hamas ran on an anti-corruption policy. That's why Hamas won by a small margin. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to realize that people are going to vote for people that they think are benefiting them. And if this group is campaigning that they will benefit you, that is why people are voting for them. Like the number of people who voted Trump, right? Out of all the Trump voters, I would say maybe a fifth of them are about making everyone's life worse. Like they just really hate trans people or gay people or brown people or whatever. And they just need the candidate that would make those people's lives worse, right? But I would say the other 80% are people who voted for Trump because they thought Trump wasn't one of the elites and was actually trying to help people. Those people are idiots and should know that Trump was never going to help them. He's literally a billionaire. Why the fuck would he help you? But most of them are not like evil people that are just excited about the downfall of other people. They're just like, I don't have a job. I don't have savings account. I don't have money for an emergency. Like, I think you got those numbers mixed up. You think 80% of the people who voted for Trump are like bigoted, racist, like homophobic people? I don't believe that. I think people have their own issues that they're way too concerned about. I think people have their, it's like those people are insane people. That's like a vocal minority. The majority of the people that vote for Trump are people who think that they can't vote for liberals because liberals will never do anything for them. Because they think liberals are part of the elite and they have to vote for a guy who's not in politics. So he's the only guy he's just a businessman that's going to help them. I mean, you can go ahead and like watch interviews with these people. The majority of people don't think themselves to be not 80. I disagree. My conservative parents thought Trump did help them because their tax returns were larger 1 year. Yeah. I know people who supported Trump that literally thought that he was funny and the presidency didn't matter anyways. Nice. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Maybe I can find it for you guys. One sec. There was a video on YouTube that like basically interviewed a bunch of random like Trump voters, but specifically not the Trump voters that show up to rallies, because those are going to be the diehard Trumpers that like can you imagine going to a Hillary Clinton rally? Just because I voted her doesn't mean I would ever go to a rally for her. Christ, that sounds like shit. Can you imagine going to a Biden rally? Just because I voted for him doesn't mean I'm going to go to one of his fucking rallies. I don't like the guy. It's the same idea. The people who go to the Trump rallies are the crazies. They're the people who probably believe in all of the bullshit. Think about all of the people who voted for him that didn't show up to all those rallies, which is the majority of people. Those are the lurkers. And let's see. 2016 and 2020. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but basically it was talking to a bunch of random people about their decision to vote for Trump, and almost every single one of them was like, I think he's going to fix the job market. I think he's going to get us better jobs. I think, I'm about to be evicted, and I'm hoping that he will improve my life. And then they do they catch up with them like 4 years later in the future. And surprise, surprise, none of their lives have improved. And they're like, I don't really understand why this isn't helping me, why I voted for him and now I'm not being helped. Remember when that rally when they sang Joe Biden to the tune of Everybody by Backstreet Boys? Oh God, Jesus Christ. That's why Biden keeps talking about how many jobs he's created. Oh my God, I'm going to jump off a bed into a trampoline into a bed if I have to hear one more time Biden saying that he fucking he made jobs. It's just the most bullshit argument on the planet. It's like, yeah, no shit, you made jobs. You took office as the pandemic had a solution. People are going to go back to work. No shit. But anyways, moving on. I'm just going to talk about that all day if I start. Let's try and watch like a little bit more on the Hamas topic and then we'll move on.
It is not about Hamas.
It's all about what Hamas did on October the 7th.
But Piers, I think we both know it's not. Because what is the military occupation founded upon? When did Hamas come into power? We know that this isn't just about Hamas. What was Israel doing in the West Bank the year prior to October 7th? They killed 500 Palestinians, 80 children. This is ethnic cleansing. This is a military occupation. As long as you have these policies in place, you will never get to the root of the violence, Piers.
All right, Mossab, there was an allegation there that you think all Muslims are terrorists. What's your response to what Avi Martin said?
Well, this is Abi's desperate attempt to discredit me. I am a man of the field. I fought against Hamas as part of legitimate intelligence organization.
Low-key, you don't need Abby to discredit you. You already discredit yourself plenty. I don't even know. You're role-playing a D&D character. We all know what you're role-playing as. We can see it clear as day.
Against savage group that were targeting civilians in suicide bombing attacks waves of suicide bombing attacks, that they kill people indiscriminately. So Avi today want me for some reason to apologize for saving human life because my truth challenges her convenient truth. Avi does not have the authority.
The convenient truth that the country that is being given billions of dollars in both cold hard cash and also weapons is doing a genocide because we see the videos of people getting genocided. Okay, all right. Okay. Punditry, they are the gifts of.
She's just a self-appointed low-grade journalist. How can you be a journalist and you call this a genocide, ethnic cleansing? And she just keep repeating ethnic cleansing, genocide, colonialism, etc. None of it is real, including Palestine. It's only in your head. None of it is existential. Palestine was never born. How can you free it? It was never there. It's just a colonial entity, and some people choose to make it into a national identity. And this parrot has been just repeating Hamas propaganda.
Guys, indigenous people don't exist. You made it up. There's nothing to give back to them because they've never existed. It's a figment of your imagination. Obviously.
Barghouti that she's talking about him, she never met him. I knew Marwan before he got to power. He's a criminal. He killed 5 people. He has blood on his...
Bibi's killed 100,000 more? 5 people. Oh, my God.
Hands. He cheated on his wife. He has a secret son that he never revealed it to the public. Of course, I can criticize him, and I can criticize all the criminals that I know personally. She's been there only for a visit, and maybe she had some falafel sandwich, you know, and she really was blown away of the Palestinian experience. There is no such a thing as Palestine. It's about time to retire, find a different job. You're not a journalist. You don't qualify even to be a mother.
Wow. Avi.
He cheated on his wife. What is that? What? No, now she needs to just say, so you don't have any response to the genocide that's going on. Okay. I mean, you can personally attack me as much as you want, but if you don't want to address the genocide, that's fine.
Masab, you know, it's usually a public figure. If they were caught lying about half the things that they said, they would be completely discredited and never allowed airtime. You are spewing such ahistorical anti-Arab bigotry that not even the fringe of Israeli society would agree with you. I mean, not even Israeli historians agree.
I'm not anti-Arab. I am Arab. I am Arab. This is my ethnicity. Islam is just
anti-Muslim bigotry.
I am not a Muslim.
Mazhab.
We are Arabs.
Mazhab. Okay. Then anti-Muslim bigotry, which is frankly appalling considering that there's 1 billion people on the planet who would be characterized as you as, you know, extremists who need to be used force against, according to you. But Masab, not even Israeli historians would agree with the fact that you claim that there's no military occupation in the West Bank, that there's no apartheid state. Israelis at least admit, yes, those things exist, but here's why they're necessary and justified. They don't even agree with you. You're so fringe that I don't even know where you're coming from. I mean, so again, if we can't even agree with the basic facts of the conflict and the reality in front of our eyes, I don't know how we can really even discuss this.
What's that?
Yeah, because you don't qualify.
Well, I think
It's
the
as
belittling
simple as
her
that.
credentials. Listen,
Well,
everyone's entitled to an opinion.
Piers, best case scenario, if there is an occupation, it's between Israel and Jordan, or it's between Israel and Egypt, because it was not an occupation of a country called Palestine. There was never Palestine in history. This is not an absurd statement. It's reality.
What does that have anything to do with the tens of thousands of people that are dying? Like, what is... You can pretend like there are no countries, none, and that doesn't change anything. There's a group of people living in a location that are getting bombed. What, like, none of these details change that fact. None of them.
Palestine never existed. It was not a country. It was not a nation. It's not an ethnic group. We are Arabs. We are the Arabs of Judea and Samaria. And when I was born, like millions of Palestinians, we had Jordanians birth certificate. The people of Gaza were Egyptian with Egyptian birth certificate. There was no Palestine. Yasser Arafat created this entity, and everybody believed him. And this lie must die. This is why I don't like what Avi and her likes doing by trying to delegitimize Israel. She's trying to
Yeah, Arafat invented Palestine. It's true.
discredit me. Who gave you the
Even if you lived somewhere that wasn't judged by the world as being a country, does that not mean that that means it's okay for you to live or die? He wants you to think that if you don't have a formally recognized country that you're not human and you don't deserve to live. It's like, I don't give a shit where they live. I don't give a shit if NATO recognizes them as a country. I don't give a shit whether or not it's a recognized nation state. They're people, man. You can't just kill people because you don't respect the fact that they deserve to live. Like what?
authority? How dare you?
You are a
I'm son
spy.
of that region.
You're
I'm
a spy
child
for
of that
Israeli
conflict.
intelligence,
You don't-
Massab.
It is not funny. It's not funny. Your tale,
It's
your
not
false
funny at
narrative
all.
need to
It's-
stop because
it's
you
not
are
funny at all,
creating chaos.
Massab.
Listen, Avi, you are bringing
Massab, you're
chaos to the
very-
United States and you will be held accountable. You are just
Okay.
a criminal like them.
Sure. Okay, Massab, you can't be taken seriously and you're not legitimate because you are literally, you have
I
worked
don't
for
care if
Israeli
you take me
intelligence to out
seriously
your
or
own
not.
people. But listen,
Sooner
okay, but
or
Massab,
later
you
you
can't discredit
realize.
my reality as well. You can't discredit my reality as well. I was in the West Bank. I had assault rifles
Then
pointed
don't
at my head from a
dare you.
17-year-old
Don't dare you
American
try
from
to
Palo
discredit
Alto.
me. You
That's an occupation.
are in my domain
Massab.
right
That's
now.
a military occupation.
Okay, you are in my domain. When you come to my domain, you have to pay respect. You have to respect all the effort that I put to save human lives, and you cannot reduce that into some propaganda because
why
it's
on
not.
earth would I
It's not
respect you
about
for
Israel.
putting
It's
the
about
leader of Fatah, Massab? You put the most unifying, popular Palestinian figure. You are credited to putting him in prison. This is someone who would win an election against Hamas. He is a peace activist. He was fighting for a two-state solution. This isn't about Hamas, and you know it. This is about you shutting down, tamping down on all factions of Palestinian society. And let's be clear, what is Palestine supposed to do? What are Palestinians supposed to do when in 2018, thousands of Palestinians in Gaza marched peacefully to this fortified perimeter fence that Israeli snipers have authorized themselves to shoot to kill? And that's exactly what they did. They massacred over 200 peaceful demonstrators, medics, press, journalists, clearly marked press, disabled people in wheelchairs, and children. These are all violations of international law and the Geneva Convention. Israeli snipers perched up behind sand dunes picked people off one by one in a methodical slaughter over the course of several months. That's when Palestinians tried to peacefully protest. So I think the question should be, what should Palestinians do? Because they're not even allowed to advocate for their legal rights. They're not even allowed to raise up a Palestinian flag. I visited a place called Sebastia in the occupied West Bank, and Palestinians were shot and in the hospital for simply erecting a Palestinian flag on a hilltop several days prior. This is the brutal reality of military occupation in the West Bank, Massab. I mean, I want the violence to end. I empathize with the victims of both sides of this,
Do
and
you?
that's why I want to get to the root of the conflict. Yes, I don't go out there and say Jews can't be trusted like you say about Muslims. I empathize with all civilian life. I believe
Then
and cherish
stop
the sanctity
spreading
of human
lies.
life. And that's why I want to get to the root
Okay,
of why
let me ask
violence
Mossab
occurs,
a
Massab.
question.
And
Let me ask Mossab a question. Do you agree with the principle that
She kind of went in on him. I'm not gonna lie. She kind of ate the fuck up. Hayden, thank you for the 2 gift subs. Okay, I want to do other content today because I've got a lot of other really, really good content that I want to get to. But I want to see what this segment is about. Should Palestinians have the same human rights as Israelis?
Palestinians should be entitled to exactly the same human rights as Israelis?
Listen, the suffering of the Arabians, again, stop calling them Palestinians. They are not Palestinians. We are Arabs. We are the Arabs of Judea and Samaria. And Israel and the Jewish people
Well,
have
Palestinians
no
call
problem
themselves
since the beginning of
Palestinians.
their state. Well, you gave them that name. You forced the international community.
No, the international community forced them to be called Palestinians. Huh?
And the rest of
All right,
the
well, let me
world
rephrase the
forced
question.
that
Should
name
the
on
people
Palestinians.
who live in Gaza and on the West Bank, should they be entitled to the same human rights as Israelis?
If they have equal responsibility as the decent citizens of the State of Israel, that includes Arabs, Jews, Christians, and all other citizens of the State of Israel, then yes, they have equal rights. But if they are not taking their responsibility, if they are using violence, sending suicide bombers, and killing babies, kidnapping a 1-year-old, you know, how do you answer to the mother and to the mothers of
You guys didn't know, historically, it has never been the case, ever actually, that Israel has killed any children. Did you guys know that?
hostages and all those who got killed on October 7th? You know, it's very easy to just try to delegitimize Israel. This is what Avi and her likes have been trying to do for so long, but they don't have the moral power to say what Hamas did, all the waves of suicide bombing attacks. October 7, that was a genocide. That was a genocide. So stop spreading the false narrative. Now, regarding to the Arabs who live there, they need a decent police force. They need a good economy. They need good education. And if they are able to integrate, then naturally could be a political entity based on their needs. But right now, when she say Palestine, who is? Islamic Jihad, Fatah, Marwan Barghouthi, Ismail Haniyeh, Hamas, Public Front. They are so conflicted. They don't have agenda. They don't have leadership. They don't have legitimacy. This is an anarchy that has been going on for about 70 years. And it's about time for it to stop.
You want to not get massacred? Have you considered assimilating? Yeah. Yeah, I bet you didn't consider that, didn't you? Yeah.
How to transform, to integrate
There is
the
no
society.
war in Ba Sing Se,
We
guys.
must protect the children. And this is a priority number one before we talk about Palestinian state or whatever name you want to give it. That when we have a savage group, Islamists, by the name of Allah, hijacking and using children as human shields, their own children, after killing Jewish children, then this is a capital crime. We cannot.
Sorry, really quickly. Why are Hamas leaders living in Qatar and worth millions of dollars while the people they are supposed to represent are dying? Let me make it shorter for you. Why are political leaders living better than the people who vote for them? Excellent question. We're going to get on the bottom of this. I'm looking into this. I've got my best guys on the case, okay? All right. Here's the thing. This doesn't change the fact that Israel is actively killing tens of thousands of people in Gaza. Don't know how to tell you that, man. Don't know how to tell you that. Hamas leaders living in Qatar, not at all relevant to us getting Israel to stop killing children. Don't know how else to explain that to you, man. I don't know how else to explain that to you. All right.
Blind our eyes. We have to deal with priorities. First, we remove this savage group out of power. If Abi's intention were pro-peace, then this is our intention, that we should unify our efforts toward this main goal, first goal, priorities. Then after that, we can talk about the future. And this criminal you call Marwan Barghouthi in Israeli prison.
How are you supposed to differentiate who is and who is not Hamas when Israeli authorities have literally called almost every entity in Gazan society Hamas, including UNRWA. They even are calling students on college campuses Hamas. I mean, there's summary executions of doctors thrown in mass graves because they're called Hamas. So I'm sorry that this label has been rendered completely meaningless. And as far as the term human shields, look, there's been no evidence, according to Amnesty International, during Cast-led and the 2014 onslaught and today. I mean, there is absolutely no evidence provided that Hamas uses human shields and that somehow justifies this heinous slaughter of predominantly women and children.
Remember, anytime someone says the human shields thing, just remember, if there was an active school shooter, does that give you a right to bomb the school since the shooter is using the kids as human shields? You can't just kill all of the civilians in an area because one of them is a threat. You can't just bomb and just kill all the hundreds of people and civilians because one of them is a threat. It's like blowing up the bank to stop the bank robbers. You would never use that justification anywhere else, in any other place, in any other context.
In Gaza, and even if they were literally standing behind hostages, you still can't just kill hundreds of people in a single airstrike because a Hamas commander is right there. And that's exactly what Israel is admittedly doing. Through AI, they're saying that they could kill up to 100 civilians for every Hamas official. It's absolutely outlandish.
But if a group like Hamas launches a terrorist attack on Israel that kills 1,200 people, they take over 200 more people hostage, including babies and Holocaust survivors, that is a declaration of war, which they knew would lead to the kind of response we've seen from Israel. And Israel would argue, and they would have some sound argument to this, that if someone declares war on you in that manner and you respond, and in eliminating the terrorists who committed that heinous crime, civilian casualties are incurred, they would say that that is exactly what has happened in any other war in history, that the principle is the same, that the civilian loss of life is appalling, but that the principle of retaliating against a body of people who have committed one of the worst terror attacks in living memory, that is why they're doing it.
What does this mean? It's easy to ask questions and answer them as per your satisfaction, but ain't nothing changing. Adios. Some chatters, they just like, I swear to God, they just write messages to make my brain hurt. The goal of the message is to make me annoyed. It's just like, this is going to be a completely nonsensical statement, but it's going to almost sound like it makes sense. Mission succeeded. Successfully failed. Agave, thank you for the prime. Thank you.
Piers, there's no symmetry between the two sides. It's complete asymmetrical mass slaughter of women and kids. You know that.
Well,
and
actually,
you could also
Hamas
make the
did
same
commit a
argument
mass
for what
slaughter
preempted.
of women and kids. They did. You said there's no symmetry.
Piers,
there's an absolute symmetry.
But there's no symmetry. There's no symmetry between an occupying, colonizing force and the people that they're occupying and colonizing. You could obviously make the same argument that preempted October 7th, that it was a declaration of war to siege Gaza, to prevent aid from getting in, to shoot people that stray too far out, that are fishing, that can't go get medical aid and are sentenced to death within Gaza. Is that not a declaration of war? Is it not a declaration of war to violate international law, to maintain a brutal fascist military dictatorship in the West Bank? These all preempted October 7th. So it just keeps going back and back to what is the root of actual violence, Piers.
Okay, Mossab, I'll give the last word to you. Where do we get peace from all this hell?
Listen, naturally, If the Israeli protocol
Okay.
is not
I was about to stop the video and be like, this guy doesn't give a shit about fucking peace, but there's only like 2 minutes left in the video, so we should just finish it.
sufficient and it's not satisfactory to the expectations of Abby and many of her friends. Then I say, how about we punish Hamas by their own laws, by the Islamic law? Why don't
What do you mean? He always starts with listen. That's just being Arab, man, okay? Every single one of my Arab relatives, right before they're going to say something, they're just like, listen. The grapes go in this shelf. Okay, listen. I do it. I fucking do it, okay? Everyone in my family does it, and they infected me with it. All right?
we
Are you
follow
Arab?
the
Yeah, Moroccan Egyptian.
Islamic protocol? In this case, the Islamic law says, behead all men and take all women and children as booty. This is their moral stand. So she say it's asymmetric. Well, we already know that. It's a very dirty war. We are dealing with people with the mentality of the 7th century tribalism. It's not an easy mission for a democracy, for any country, for any modern army, for any civilized society to deal with this. So we need to be reasonable. I understand if
Guys, be
people are
reasonable.
anti-war and they are pro-children, pro-life, me too. But sometimes we have to make very difficult choices. And Israel was really pushed to the corner. Israel is fighting.
Sometimes we have to make some really tough choices, like killing a bunch of kids. It's just sometimes that's just what you have to do. Sometimes you just have to do a war crime.
Fighting for its very existence. I am fighting for my very existence. I did not kill any Arab. I did not kill any of their tribesmen, but they want me to cease to exist. Why? Because I criticize their religion. I criticize their stupid ideas that are leading towards global chaos. And instead of spreading the narrative, the victim narrative, what we need to do actually, we need to localize it, not globalize it. And we need to be reasonable of our expectations from a democracy in the middle of crisis.
Okay. Mossab Hussain Youssef, Abby Martin. It was a spirited debate. I think I learned, as I always do from these debates, I learned a little bit more than I knew before. So I thank you both very much indeed.
Wow. I don't really feel like you need to thank that guy. I don't know. Crazy, but Gold Rhapsody, thank you for the 22 months. Denims, the worst crime this guy committed was being a Reddit atheist? Yes. This guy's Wikipedia shows him for what a loser he is. Oh, no, yeah. We read his Wikipedia page at the very beginning. The dude is literally a fucking IDF spy. Like, he has a incentive, he has a prerogative to spread as much anti-Arab, anti-Muslim hate as possible. But did you guys consider this?